Now, I'll be frank, that doesn't look like an open collaboration to me. It looks like chaperoning. To your knowledge, has UNOS ever obstructed or otherwise delayed government access to its technology, including by requiring HRSA engineers to physically visit UNOS facilities to view system code?
In a recent congressional hearing, sharp questions were raised about the private organization responsible for managing America's organ transplant network, UNOS, the United Network for Organ Sharing. At the heart of the issue, who really controls the technology that powers the U.S. organ transplant system? And is it being held hostage? Stay with us as we break it down.
There is no question that UNOS technology powers the OPTN. DonorNet, for example, allows OPOs to manage deceased donor data, launch match runs, and make organ offers to transplant hospitals. Dr. McBride, is it fair to say that the OPTN would not be possible without the technology systems that UNOS builds and maintains?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. So given the centrality of technology in the OPTN, it is vital that its systems are secure, reliable, and easy to use. Indeed, in recent years, many federal technologists with backgrounds in the private sector were dispatched to HRSA. Their mission was to inspect the code of the OPTN to look for bugs, inefficiencies, and opportunities and implement fixes. I imagine they expected to spend their time solving the gnarly problems plaguing the OPTN's technology systems. As it turned out, these mission-driven software engineers and data scientists struggled to even gain access to code and data, stymied by a resistant UNOS. This is unacceptable. If taxpayers fund a piece of technology, the federal government should own it, full stop. Dr. McBride, do you believe the federal government is the rightful owner of the source code underlying the OPTN and therefore should be able to freely inspect, develop, and share that code?
Thank you, Congresswoman. Under our current contract with the OPTN, the contract clearly states that the computer system is owned by UNOS. This is a contract between HRSA and...
So you don't believe that the government should have the right to freely inspect that data that taxpayers fund?
I 100% agree that they should, and they have. They came to our office this most recent December and were able to freely and openly look at our computer system.
Well, according to an internal memo, government experts had never been able to inspect UNOS systems in the 30-plus years of the transplantation network's lifetime. Dr. McBride, your predecessor criticized that memo, contending that government officials could review the OPTN source code, provided that they physically visit the UNOS office under strict supervision. Now, I'll be frank, that doesn't look like an open collaboration to me. It looks like chaperoning. To your knowledge, has UNOS ever obstructed or otherwise delayed government access to its technology, including by requiring HRSA engineers to physically visit UNOS facilities to view system code?
I can't speak to what happened during my predecessor's term as CEO. I can tell you that HRSA has been welcomed into our office to look at our computer system. We have conversations with them twice a week about what was happening in the OPTN system. It is a very open, collaborative process.
Well, maybe under your tenure there have been changes made. It's not what we understand to be true. I was outraged at public reporting from 2022 that indicated HRSA's technology officials were told it would cost the government nearly $55 million to purchase UNOS's technology systems. So begs the question, has UNOS ever set a price tag on government access to the technology or data technology that I must point out once again, taxpayers paid for? And if so, what's that number?
So the data in the OPTN computer system are completely available to HRSA and to anyone else who is
without obstruction, without delays.
That's correct.
You know, Mr. Chairman, the public record as well as Dr. Lynch's answers to me appear to contradict the answer. I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record a Washington Post article detailing how UNOS told the government it would have to pay $55 million to acquire its technology should the OPTN contract ever be opened.
So ordered.
Thank you. Here's the bottom line. I'm concerned UNOS is holding the organ transplantation system and its technology in particular hostage. UNOS has consistently shown resistance to federal efforts to modernize the technology and operationalize its data. We all have a role to play in changing the organ transplantation network for the better. No one, Congress included, should escape accountability and scrutiny.
Subscribe for updates as we follow how this impacts future reforms in public health technology. Congresswoman Ms. Trahan of Massachusetts pointed to reports that federal software engineers dispatched to inspect the system were blocked from fully accessing the code. These were mission-driven technologists, hoping to modernize the system from within, but they were stymied by a resistant UNOS. The concern, if you, the taxpayer, fund it, shouldn't it be public technology? Dr. Maureen McBride, UNOS CEO, insisted that the government has had access. But lawmakers countered with reports and internal memos saying otherwise. In one case, government engineers were only allowed to inspect the code under strict in-person supervision at UNOS offices. That doesn't sound like open collaboration. It sounds like gatekeeping. If you're interested in tech policy, digital transparency, and public accountability, make sure you subscribe to stay informed. Perhaps the most shocking moment, Congresswoman Trahan referenced a Washington Post article reporting that UNOS once told the federal government it would have to pay $55 million to take control of the system if the contract were ever open to competition. UNOS denies obstructing access, but the paper trail and testimony suggest a very different story. If true, this would mean a private contractor is monetizing control over a public system, potentially delaying modernization and risking lives. For more reporting on how public-private partnerships can go wrong, hit that subscribe button and stay ahead of the headlines. Organ transplant logistics aren't just a back-end tech issue. They are a matter of life and death. Every minute counts in matching organs to recipients. Outdated or restricted technology can lead to missed matches, wasted organs, and preventable deaths. Lawmakers are now calling for greater federal control, transparency, and modernization of the system. They argue, no private contractor should have a chokehold on critical healthcare infrastructure. We'll continue tracking how this story unfolds, especially as Congress debates whether to strip UNOS of its exclusive contract. If you care about technology ethics, healthcare equity, or government oversight, you'll want to subscribe for more watchdog journalism like this. UNOS, a private contractor, controls the tech behind the National Organ Transplant Network. Congress is questioning whether this system should be public and pushing back on what they see as obstruction and profiteering. At stake, transparency, taxpayer rights, and lives. Subscribe for trusted reporting on government, tech, and public health.